Violet, aka Violet the Vixen on IG. What's going
Ow.
on?
And as we alluded to before the break, and now we are here, we have a wonderful guest with us. Please, sir, introduce yourself.
Woo!
Hey, well, thanks for having me. I'm Mike Guess. Appreciate the invite for sure.
Of course, Mr. Guest, of course. So, Mr. Mike Guest, first, tell us who you are and what do you do? Why are you here in our studio, sir?
Why are you our special guest?
Yes.
Well, I'm only here because you invited me, so.
This is true.
But yeah, Mike Guess. I'm a producer, singer. No, wait, I'm not a singer. That would be bad. Anybody who actually knows me will. He don't sing.
He don't do that.
But I do write songs and rap and produce and artist development and all of that fun stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, and I've known you for quite a while. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just quick background. So yeah, me and Mr. Guest, we came together, and I would say 2099 and 2000. That was drama class. That's the most that I remember as being in. Yeah, from the 99. yes, showing our age a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's when we guys we came together. This wonderful man is a native of Philly. Came down into Maryland and happened to be around the area, and he's an amazing person. I'm glad to know him then, glad to know him now, and he's done nothing but great things from then to now, and that's why he's here. That's why he's here. He has a single, "The Walking Dead." So we heard the track over the break. Very good track, inspirational track. It also alludes to the idea of how people are. Well, not the perception of their life. So everyone knows the Walking Dead TV show. What was your inspiration for the title and the lyrics? Because it's very poignant about what you're talking about. It's people living a life that they think that they're living, but So give us a little more insight.
So honestly, I hated The Walking Dead before I wrote this song. When I wrote this song, I was like, well, I probably should watch the show.
Yeah.
And now I love it. Like, it's probably one of the best shows I've ever watched. But the concept behind the song was seeing in the show, clearly, it's dead people walking. They're not alive. And when you look out across the world, you have people who they're living, their hearts beating, brains working enough, and they in their mind, or they've come to a certain level of I've made it, so they think they're alive, and they're living, but there's so much more that they're missing. So that was kind of the point of that song. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So, starting with your music career, predominantly the genre would be hip hop. What was your cornerstone inspiration for getting into hip hop?
Cornerstone inspiration for getting into hip hop was because growing up in a very strict Christian home, I could not listen to the radio. So I had to sneak in the bathroom and plug the radio and put my headphones on. And
I wish I didn't know that.
To a certain degree.
But at that point, like hip hop was big in Philly and New York at the time in the 90s at this point. And there was a particular beef going on between Rockefeller and Jadakiss, and you know what I mean? It was the Beanie Siegel and Kiss diss, and I was like, I gotta listen to this. The radio station's playing it, but everybody's in schools talking about it. And at that point, it was just like, wow, this is cool. Like, this is what I'm missing. And all my cousins knew all the words to the songs, and I'm like, I don't know the words to Biggie songs. Like, wait, I'm missing out.
Print them out.
You know what I mean? So I had to like sneak to find it, but then it like sparked something in me, like, wow, this is great. And then I was probably about 12 or 13, and then saw a guy at my church who actually rapped, and I was like, I could probably do that. And that was legitimately how I started, was I probably can do that. And it was probably garbage.
Right.
But he was, and still is, a very dear friend of mine, and supported me when I was early teens, and just told me, like, encouraged me, like, yo, keep going. So to have somebody like that, like, we all need somebody like that.
We do.
Like, because you're not as good as you are 10, 15 years down the road as you are at this moment. And for him to, like, see greatness in me at that point and say, go for it, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, is kind of how I'm here today.
So, for you as, I'm guessing you call yourself like a Christian rapper, how do you feel coming up in this industry as a Christian rapper? Do you find it to be more difficult, or do you feel like it's just like you're having your own lane? Like, talk more about it, just your whole, the whole, I can't even get the words out, but your whole drive through this whole process.
Yeah, so I think it's actually, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it was a little scary at first, because when you're doing something it's not the popular choice that nobody else is doing, and you get the opportunity to share a stage with artists who are completely saying everything different than you, it makes it like, maybe this isn't where I belong. But actually, that's exactly where I belong. A few years ago, shout out to Stephanie Rollins Blake. She had me out on the Baltimore City summer tour. And I think I did it like 2 or 3 years in a row, because she saw me at one event, and her brother were like, wow, you're saying something positive that the city needs, and not just the city, but the world needs. And to give me a stage to say it to a community of people that need to hear it. But then it was alongside of other artists who were completely saying things contradictory of what I was saying. So it's one, having the confidence in yourself to go out and do it. And I thank God for that. I wasn't always as bold and confident to stand up and stand on my own and say, this is what I believe and I'm going to rock with it. But the industry, ironically, accepted it. Like, so when I'm in Cherry Hill and the dude's over here getting blunted, but he's coming up to me and he's like, yo, I needed to hear exactly what you said. I was like, yo, okay. Like, okay.
Just remember
like,
that. Don't
know,
rob me
you know
after.
What I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's the weed talking, but okay.
Right.
But it showed me like, yo, you're exactly where you belong. And that wasn't the only time where it was like that acceptance of thank you. Like, you're saying, like, I see more often than not, people are like, I'm tired of hearing the same thing. It's girls, it's money, it's clothes, it's like, what else? It's got to be something else. Like, everybody's talking about the same thing. So to be able to come and talk about something different and be accepted for it, I think was pretty dope. So
as a gospel music artist, would you say gospel has evolved? Because now we're getting a lot more songs that kind of sound like trap gospel. Do you feel like there's a trap gospel, or do you feel like there's like one genre and just different facets of
so I think there's definitely different facets of it. For me, it's music is music, one. So to say, I definitely do not shun away from identifying as a gospel artist or a Christian rapper, however you want to coin it. But music is music, and for me, it's what you are most passionate about is what you're going to make music about. So I could never make it in the industry talking about I was in the trap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was
that
trapped.
wasn't me. I was trapped, actually.
Like, I was never trapped anywhere.
Yeah.
So like, that's not my life. So I can only talk about what I know. And I see that, like, whether I'm going to do a lot of my music that I'm working on, it's mixed with whether if I'm doing it on a trap beat or I'm doing an acoustic. Like, one of the things I want to do is an acoustic hip hop album. Because who's doing it?
Yeah,
no, y'all better not steal that, whoever's listening or watching.
You shouldn't have
dropped that jewel. But to be able to do something that nobody else is doing, whether if it's in gospel or whether if it's just in hip hop in general. But I think it's a vehicle to be used, whether if it's on a trap beat or, on a regular beat or R&B or mixing R&B and hip hop, whatever. So I think it's just different facets to it for sure.
So in honesty in music, obviously it is important. Do you feel that your genre will get enough credit mainstream as it should? Now, I know a lot of people may not know, but I think it was a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, that Lecrae, which is a hip hop artist, he held Billboard for I want to say at least a month, as far as having the #1 album in the country. And that kind of went under the radar that you have this Christian rapper that is really putting up numbers and well enough to get that, but the publicity wasn't there. So do you think there's ever going to be a turn to where people needing the edification of real words and a message, will we be able to have that?
I would hope so. I think people look at like your J. Cole's as, or Kendrick, as like those guys who are like, they're giving us some positive stuff. And it's like, yeah, but no. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They give you the real.
And they give you the real
consciousness.
But they give you that consciousness, but there's like, there is something more. Do I think that us as, as Christian artists will ever get to the level of platinum records as hip hop artists? No, I honestly don't think so, because that's not what the world wants. Right. The world doesn't, like, there's a handful of people in the world who say I want that, I need that. But then there's, everybody else who's like, no, give me the track, give me the hood, give me that. I would hope that we get that exposure, but what we say doesn't sell. And that's the big thing. I was talking to a buddy of mine this week, and I said, music, the music industry is a business, and if you own a company and you have a business, you have like your core values and HR, and you can't be even probably talking or emailing or instant messaging at work about cocaine on the table when I don't give a right. Yeah. But this is okay in the music that we're pushing to the community, right? And but then we say we want to better our communities, but it's like, but this is what you're feeding your communities. So yeah, there needs to be a shift and a turn in the industry. Will it be? I doubt it, because at the end of the day, they want their money, even if it's poisoning of people. So
would you consider your style kind of along the lines of like Mally music? Like with him, I feel like he's kind of contemporary. Like he kind of bounces in and out of just being kind of like a gospel artist and more so of like a R&B contemporary artist. Like he kind of plays both sides of the field. So would you say you are strictly a gospel artist, or do you kind of are more inspirational, not necessarily gospel, but kind of just...
No, I would say 100% undeniable, 100% gospel artist. It's where I started. I've never had a question of, well, can I try and do this over here? Like, if I ever even tried, it would probably be the wackest thing you ever heard. I mean, I would probably do okay, but it just would be like, the lies you tell. So for me, it's always been, always will be, as long as the Lord gives me, the ability to create. I believe that my position is to always make big of Him. So, and that's, if I'm not doing that, then it's like, what am I doing? Yeah.
So I know from your Instagram that you are very like God-driven, and I know that your kids are play a big role in your life too. Do you make songs?
My kids and my wife.
Kids and your wife.
Kids and my wife.
I'm sorry.
Hey, man,
of course.
She watching. I can't.
Shout me out. It's Mother's Day.
Yes, I know.
It's Mother's Day. Shout me out.
But do you think, for your wife and kids, are they inspirational to when you write your music? Are they an inspiration to keep going down this path of being a gospel artist?
Yeah. So even outside of me as an artist, their inspiration for just me as a husband and as a father to provide, to keep going. But outside of music, the music definitely is a tool that allows me to help direct them through life, like my children. As much as possible, I try to bring them to events that I'm doing so they can see, like, this is what Daddy does, this is what, and even my son, like, my oldest is 10, about to be 11. And he's like, we were listening to some music the other day, and I told him, hey, this song was produced by a 15-year-old boy, like, you're 4 years behind him. So he's, can I do that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So as much as they encourage and support me, I encourage and want to support them, and even hold me, like, my kids even hold me accountable for stuff. Like, I do stuff and I'm like, the kids, or my wife, like, she'll pull my card quick.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I don't like it, I don't like it, and I'll probably fight her down tooth and nail on it, but at the end of the day, like, 9 times out of 10, like, she's maybe right. Maybe.
More so of the 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though any of your kids want to, like, pursue a rap career as well? Any of them kind of dropping hints like, yo, dad, cat and cat, and Jesus is not whack. Like,
yikes. Not necessarily. All of my kids are creative in their own rights. So I have 2 boys and a girl.
She's spoiled.
She is very. You see that.
Yeah.
She's very much spoiled, and she gets whatever.
I can relate to her.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like I'm like, well, okay, go to your room, but not really.
Go there for 10 seconds
Exactly.
and pretend
Come right
like
back.
you're in trouble.
But all of them are very creative in their own rights. My oldest is very smart. So he like journals. He's very, very well spoken, very well written. All of them very well spoken.
Awesome.
My middle child, Levi,
Yes, Levi.
he's kind of like a jack of all trades kind of kid. Like you put a ball in his hand and he'll figure out how to play this sport. You know, can dance and do. Yeah, he's like that. Like I want to be like Levi when I grow up.
Right. That's right.
You know what I mean? Like and Jade singing, dancing, and just very like. One of my coworkers told me like, watch out for her. She's gonna be something one day. Yes. I can tell. Like she's very like she owns the space. Yes. You know what I mean? Like and so I give her like I give her free reign, enough free reign to like do you. To feel comfortable. You know, if it's like if you don't match, but you put it together. Yeah. You put on socks with sandals. Okay, like just stay in the front yard and don't go too far, you know? You're still representing me, but to still give them enough to say, you know, I support what you're doing. And, you know, they all, like I say, very, very creative in their own rights. Yeah.
When you're a man and if you have a princess little daughter, it's essentially you become the border collie, just kind of just like, you're just like, okay, you know, just keeping them in the bounds. Like they're just going to roam wherever they're going to go, but you're just like, okay, yeah, I got you. I'm just going to watch you here. So
girls run the world.
They really do. It's crazy because like you said that go to your room for 10 minutes, but not really, and feel like you're. It's the honest truth. It's ridiculous. So in your traveling, in your workings, have you found it different? And what are the difficulties and differences between handling business in Baltimore compared to some of the other places that you have visited?
So Baltimore is an interesting place.
To say the least.
I like you said, I'm originally from Philly, and so I do a lot of shows in Baltimore. But I feel like business is handled, and I don't know why, I don't know if it's me or where I'm going, but like business is handled on a completely different level when I'm out of state. Yeah. There's like a different expectation from them of me and from me of them, because they're like, yo, you're traveling to come to us. Mm-hmm. So we're going to pay you top dollar. We're going to provide you what you need, whether if it's flight or lodging or, you know, whatever it may be. Where I'm in Baltimore, and they're like, yo, dummy, can you come out real quick? You know what I'm saying? And do this for
dummy.
me. You know
I need you next week at 7.
And I'm like, well, what's y'all budget?
Say some of that inspirational-ish.
You know what's y'all budget looking like? And they like, well, you know, we might got like some gas money for you. I'm like, gas money, like my gas tank is full. Like, right. Like, so it's different, and I've grown over the years where I've done a lot of free events, and you know, wasn't always paid for my events. So now to be in a position where I can kind of essentially demand, you know, yes, I want to come. At the end of the day, we're gonna work it out either way, because I still want to be there. So if you can't afford me, I'm still gonna make it a way to be there as much as I possibly can. Right. But yeah, Baltimore is it's a tough one. So
and that's a humbling experience though, because not a lot of people will say I will still show up.
Oh yeah.
After the fact, they'll be like, okay, the coin doesn't add up, sis. What are you doing here? So
yeah. With that with that being said, with Baltimore, I did see that you did do something with Fox 45 News, and so I just wanted to know how was that experience, since you had brought up the whole Baltimore.
So that actually was not actually Fox 45. So what you actually saw was I did an event called Serve with Liberty through my job, and we went out to it was called Junior Achievements BizTown. So it's basically, it was a building set up as if there were 14 it was a town, BizTown. And it was 14 businesses made up. Fox 45 was essentially one of the businesses, and some inner city schools come out fourth through sixth grade. This particular day, I was volunteering to assist fifth graders with learning how to run a business. And so, I mean, I had a CEO, a CFO, a marketing director, I had to learn all of their positions that morning.
Oh, wow.
To make sure in an hour when they showed up, when they asked me questions, I got to be on point to help them.
Right.
Oh, wow.
It didn't. I probably could have used another hour. Probably could have used another hour to prepare. But to see the kids like come in and they're like, I can't do this. And when they come from a community where they're constantly being told, you can't, you can't, you can't. And even in the 5 hours that I was with them, and to be able to build them up and say, no, you can do this. No, I can't. And then halfway through the day, it clicked for them. And they were like, oh, well, how are we going to make money? And so they came up with their own ideas of how they were going to make money through through their business. And were soliciting their business to the other 13 businesses in BizTown. And then when they left, they were empowered of my parents maybe don't work or own a business. Or I don't even know if, my parent has a job or if my parents even have a checking account, because they had to open a checking account and like it was a part of the business. Fill out a loan. How are we going to do this? And cut a check and do book. Like, it was a lot for me. And I'm like, wow, like a fifth grader. Like, I got a fifth grader at home. Exactly, But it was good to like give them that experience. And at the end of it, as they walked out, I intentionally stood at the exit. And even the ones that weren't in my business just told them, you did a great job. Greatness, greatness, greatness. High-fiving them all as they walked out. And the teacher was like, thank you. Like, their teacher that bought them from the school, he's like, thank you. Like,
that's important. It's not a lot of male figures that's pushing these kids to do better and to do things. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great day. Long day.
That was good.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. But even then, like, just hearing that, with kids that, I can hear it in your voice that it's very important that these kids get that full figure of knowing that they can do something, that they can achieve something, and that having people like you, doing that for these kids is very important. Yeah. And so just seeing that with your music, and then also seeing that like in your actual real life, it really does show like a real role model within you. Yeah. So and just like for being that, do you think like for like these kids, they need more of like that inspirational model that you bring to the table?
Yeah, I want to be the same guy on social media as you hear on the radio, the same guy when I'm out at Waffle House as Waffle House. We met up at Waffle House a couple times. Like you should never catch me slipping and saying, "Dag, Mike, I thought." Right. Like, I want to be that same person that whether you catch me on a whim in Target, you're not going to catch me cussing somebody out and beating up on somebody, right. Slapping my wife around and, my kids going to school black and blue. Like, the same guy you see in church on Sunday, I want you to see me on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday as that same person. With that full integrity. Exactly. And that's where my wife and kids come in to keep me accountable. Yeah, keep you accountable. And my church folks. So yeah.
So in this throughout your life and throughout the journey that you have taken, one of our questions dictate what is something that people do not know about Mr. Mike Guess.
What is something that they don't know about me?
They do not know about.
Well, everybody listening probably don't know nothing, so I can probably throw anything out. But
you can.
For the ones that do know.
The ones that do know, something that they don't know.
Maybe something even your wife doesn't know.
Yikes.
I'm just joking.
I'm just
Man, something that people don't know.
It can be as big or as small. We've had someone to quote that they were born with like an extra pinky toe, like something like that. Like it can be as big as small as you want.
So I would probably say most people don't know that. So I'm a self-taught producer, self-taught drummer, and I produced and recorded. Self-taught engineer as well. It was like, I ain't got the money to be paying somebody else, so I got enough to buy this stuff and make it work. And so produced, engineered, recorded my entire first project that was released in 2012. So most people just think, oh, he's just in here writing and going somewhere, but I literally did all of that in my apartment and released it all on my lonesome.
That's a good gem.
Awesome. How long did it take, if I may ask?
Too long.
When he was like, do I need the help?
Yeah. So it would have been dope to have like another hand in it. For me, what it was just being, I honestly was probably just being lazy, because it probably should have come out 2 to 4 years prior. Right. And it was, once again, my wife holding me accountable of saying, you're bringing all these other people in here to record their projects, and you're recording project after project, not just like songs, but like 10, 12 songs like per artist, and you're bringing them in, you're doing this development, like, when is your stuff going to drop? And I'm like, well, I mean, eventually. And so it really just took, you know what, let me just set aside time and focus in and do it. And probably within 6 to 9 months, probably finished writing, recorded everything, sent it out for mixing and mastering, and I was like, wow, this is actually done.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's a thing now.
Done and doable.
Exactly.
What other kind of instruments? You said you play drums. Any other instruments?
I am teaching myself to play the piano.
Bass? Oh.
Not the bass. I tried the acoustic, but my hands was hurting so bad. I was like, this is not for me. This is from Satan. So I said, nah. But I do want to learn how to play the piano, because that's just going to help me progress as a producer. I can hear when something like, nah, that's the wrong key. Like if you start singing, I'm like, eesh. Like when I start singing, in my head, I sound like Chris Brown in my head.
You know it.
You know what I'm saying? Hit that playback and it's like, eesh.
You're right.
Yeah, it's like you
Need a
don't.
little auto-tune.
Yeah, exactly. I know lots of auto-tune. Yeah, so
Bunches of it.
working on that.
That's good. Piano is a good instrument.
You gotta warm them up a little. You know, get your do re mi's every morning. You know.
Now, understanding there is a progression to everything. Now, the end goal is to get paid for what you're going to do, and to see that reciprocity of want and need from the consumer. But in the event of everything, of a perfect situation, you don't need money, you don't need it, would you be still doing what you do for free?
100 million%. Wow. Even if it was an opportunity for me to actually do it full time, where I could devote all of my energy and creativeness into just pumping out content, right, and still be able to support my family and all, I would absolutely hop on it. I have friends who speak just into my life and say, yo, like, why aren't you where such and such is? Like, this is where you need to be.
Right.
And I think most of it is probably me, like my own doubt, like, nah, I'm okay.
Right.
And they like, no, bro, like, you killing it. Like, you need to see this and like go for it. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
You know, but if the opportunity presented and I was able to be in a position to do music full time, create, I think I would be able to put out like more content, because my creativeness is split between me making money for somebody else,
exactly,
and I do creative things for them, and then me trying to do creative things, on my end with music. So I think, if the opportunity presented itself, I would definitely hop on it. And if I hit the lottery and could do music for free, absolutely, why not? Yeah, I would buy all of my own records.
Yeah,
to make myself platinum, you know what I'm saying? I will make myself platinum.
Of course,
man.
And buy it again.
Units.
I know I just bought it. Do I want to buy it again? Yes.
Yes. And if money was not an option of an issue, be going everywhere, spreading truth and through music and all.
So it's safe to say that you're more content with the message being out there than the monetary,
absolutely.
Reciprocity.
And that's honestly what makes a great artist, is to be able to understand that it's beyond money. It's beyond becoming famous or promotions. It's about a message. It's about making sure those people understand where you're coming from and that there is a higher power that can help them. So I think that's awesome.
Appreciate that. Yeah. That was kind of like how you were saying, like, you know, or what I was saying that you agreed with of me going, you know, we're going to figure out how to be at this event, whether I'm getting paid or not. You know, that would be great to say, yes, we'll be paid, because that honestly helps further the message. But at the end of the day, like, it's way more than financial gain
because you never
of
know
what I have to say.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
You never know who's watching. Like, from a performer's, I'm not a rapper, but from a like performance stance, I understand. I understand how it is. Like, you know, sometimes you're gonna do these events that may not be paid events or may not be big events, but you never know. I've had people like, because I'm a dancer, so I've had people like come to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, that just like woke me up," and I'd be like, "Oh really?" Oh my God. 'Cause you know, you always your worst critic. So would you say you're your worst critic?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And my kids are my worst critics too.
Okay.
Yeah, they like that.
Dad, was flat. I need you to be sharp.
Yeah, that was not good. So, but even before I release music, a lot of times it'll be stuff that I've done in the studio, like super rough, and I'm like, "What do y'all think about this?" And they're like, "Nah."
Right. Yeah.
Or I'll just look through the mirror and I can see them like bopping, and I'm like, "We got
That's
it.
it right there.
We got it." So, because kids honestly, they're running mute. Like, parents are buying the music because of how their kids react to it. So my kids might be a little biased because it's me, but at the end of the day, they're gonna tell me, "No, Dad, that was trash. Like, go back to the drawing board with it."
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Kids are so honest. It's so brutally honest too.
Brutally honest.
You're fat. Okay, well thanks.
I just asked you.
Well, your face look like that.
I just came from the gym, but clearly I gotta go back.
So, if we didn't let all the viewers know, the actual single is "The Walking Dead" by Mike Guess. It's available on all platforms. You can go to iTunes. I'm gonna say Spotify. Spotify. All the major
a couple
platforms.
singles out there. Yeah.
So, "The Walking Dead." Mike Guess, make sure you pick it up, make sure you listen to it, make sure you purchase it, because when you're dealing with our local artists, not even only our local artists, but even anyone else that you appreciate their music, you know, why not buy it? It's the part of the industry. You can only get on, you're only as good, or you're only doing as well as people that support you. So if we're not supporting our local people, but you're supporting everyone else, that's not, I don't need you right now, white person.
Talk about that.
I'm just saying, sorry. No, I just gave you a look. I didn't say anything. But please make sure to support our wonderful and local artists. And having said that, letting you know that the single is "The Walking Dead," what can we expect coming up for you next, Mr. Michael Guess?
Well, another single that's on everywhere. It's called "Nothing," and that's simply my stance of without Jesus, I would be nothing. Like, I could have everything that the world could give me and still have absolutely nothing without Christ. So that's another single that's out. Right now I'm working on a compilation EP with a buddy of mine named Advocate. He's another Baltimore native. And he was going to try to make it today, but didn't work out. But that EP is set to release in just another month or two. So maybe when that's done, I might swing back through if y'all be so gracious to have me.
Be gracious if you guys dropping.
The single will be dropping soon. The EP will be entitled "For the Love of God," because most people say that and they don't really mean that. They're just saying it as an idiom. But you know, for us, "For the Love of God" is not an idiom, but it's really love, because we love what he really done.
Followed up with a cuss word. For the love of God. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think
Exactly.
And that's a real point, because I feel there are a lot of life inspirational facts that you can take from that literally are just becoming idioms now.
Yeah.
You know, or whether idioms or the new phrases, memes, whatever inspirational phrase that just can be packaged real quick and said, you know, in repetition like dogmatic. It's where it's at, and no one's actually giving real life to these phrases anymore, because it goes down as, this is a saying, so we say that, and you're supposed to get your grace from it, just like a repeated, you know, grace at the table when you're blessing your food.
Right.
If anyone knows that your blessing or whatever it is that you're offering up, every time it's supposed to be unique. We don't do animal sacrifices because sacrifice of yourself and your soul and giving all your woes and information to God is essentially your sacrifice in your life. Mm-hmm. But now we just, we give way to these easy, idioms, God be the way, or mm-hmm. Jesus be a fence, or whichever one, whichever one that it is. Yeah. Now it's part of our modern day speech to where it starts to lose its power, its value. So
Michael Guest.
Yikes!
Can you spell the last name? Because I keep hearing Guest, but I'm thinking like either a guest, like you're our guest, or like guess the question.
The question.
Okay. There we go. Okay. And for booking purposes, if someone wants to book you, how can they reach you?
My phone number is.
He's a married man, ladies.
Mike Guest Music at Gmail. And really anywhere you follow on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever is out there, I'm on it as Mike Guest Music. So
Mike Guest Music.
Yeah,
all right.
YouTube, all of that good stuff.
Very nice. Well, again, we definitely appreciate you being able to come through, grace us with your wonderful presence. Sure. Yeah. Please, everyone, you're listening, you're tuning in.
Go
follow, download, do all the clicking actions. Just double click, swipe, or however you get to your applications. Please look our man up. Follow him. He said he's got new content dropping in a month. We're gonna have him back very, very soon. So if you like what you hear, like what you see, please continue to follow us at the Wrap Up Show. That's at RadioOnFire.com. Follow Mike Guest at Mike Guest Gmail and Mike Guest. Everywhere you go, you see the face, you Google Mike Guest, he's going to pop up. Yes, Mike Guest Music. We appreciate you coming through, sir. And I know you're dealing with a little bit of schedule. We'd love to have you to, sit in after the break before we go to the break. But if not, we understand. Yeah. I said again, appreciate you having on the show. But right now, we're about to go to a break, and this is Radio on Fire. I am Bright Boy. This is